1069.
House Bill 1069 by Representative Williamson of the 115th, be entitled an act to amend Chapter 3 of Title 37 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating examination treatment for mental illness so as to provide for the licensure of adult mental health programs. This bill having referred to the Committee on Health and Human Services, that committee recommends that this bill do pass by committee substitute.
Chair recognizes Representative Williamson to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members of the House, it's rather an anomaly for me today to stand before you with a bill in front of me, in front of you for your consideration that doesn't deal with finances as the principal subject matter. But what this bill does is it addresses an anomaly we have in our licensing system for adult residential psychiatric treatment centers. Currently under state law, unlike the federal government, which has a sort of a category or licensure for these kind of centers, our adult residential psychiatric treatment centers are forced to go under the licensure of personal care homes. Personal care homes are problematic for this kind of service because personal care homes typically address end-of-life issues or later in life, mobility issues, cognitive issues, things of that nature. At a personal care home, you can have visitors, whomever you want to see, anytime you want to see them. You can have packages delivered that might not be in a residential psychiatric treatment care facility, might not be as could be harmful to people seeking to get well from mental illnesses and such as that. So it also, importantly, in a personal care home, healthcare providers cannot administer medication. So, for example, someone having a psychotic event, they can't come into the residences and administer the much needed medication. They have to transport them to an emergency room at a much higher cost. So this bill, in essence, finds the correct licensure for this medical, it provides a seamless continuum of care throughout the psychiatric community. And it does it in a cheaper manner than the workaround method we're using now. Mr. Speaker, I'll be happy to answer any questions. If not, I'll yield the well and ask for the body's favorable consideration.
You have a couple of questions if you care to yield. Do you yield?
Yes, sir, I yield.
Chair recognizes Representative Gilligan to your right for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the gentleman yield?
I'll be happy to.
Well, thank you. I do have a question. As you know, I tend to vote against licensing boards.
I think the gentlelady's correct on that remark.
Now, I know where the no button is, but I do have a question. When I'm going through this, it seems to me that this licensing board would actually make for more competition and make it better for the consumer to find the care that they need. Am I reading this correctly?
That's absolutely 100% correct. It'll foster more opportunities for Georgians to find the mental health care that they need at a local level. That's a great question.
Thank you.
With that, Mr. Speaker, I'll be happy to yield the well and ask for the body's favorable consideration.
Gentleman has yielded the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to adopting the committee substitute? The chair hears none. The committee substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of the bill will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines on the passage of House Bill 1069. The ayes are 152. The nays are 1. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Clerk will read the caption to House Bill 1388.
House Bill 1388 by Representative Burchett of the 176th, to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 913-142 of the official code of Georgia Annotated relating to requirements of an official legal organ so as to provide an alternative procedure for the designation of the official legal organ. This bill having referred to the Committee on Judiciary, that committee recommends that this bill do pass by committee substitute.
Chair recognizes Chairman Burchett to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, colleagues, for allowing me to present to you House Bill 1388. What this bill does is give some flexibility in assigning the legal organ when your newspaper shuts down. 10 times so far in the state of Georgia, a legal organ has just completely shut down. It happened in my district twice, and in that case, the code as written now, it's fairly strict in the guidelines of how to become a legal organ. You have to have a paid subscription. You can't have 75% more in advertising in the newspaper. Well, in our case, that would mean that the only legal organ would be a legal organ a county over that doesn't have any subscription in our county, which is not the underlying intent of a legal organ to give notice. And when it happened in our situation, we were without a legal organ for an entirety of a month, which means that many of you with local legislation couldn't do that if it happened to you in your district. What this allows for is that in the event that your legal organ shuts down, you can qualify as an intermediate legal organ if you do not meet the 75% advertising requirement, or if you do not meet the paid subscription element of the current code. And that's the gist of the bill. I'd ask you for a favorable vote and hope you can do that. I appreciate that. And that's all I have, Mr. Speaker.
Do you yield for a question?
For a question, yes, sir.
Chair recognizes Representative Saines to your right for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the gentleman yield?
I yield.
Is it not true that I've been honored to represent alongside my colleague Ware County for the last 3 years in the delegation, and that this bill reflects a timely response to not only our particular issue there, but for issues in many rural communities in upholding enterprises, and newspapers are included in that?
Yes, sir. I believe that to be true.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the well.
Gentleman has yielded the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to adopting the committee substitute? The chair hears none. The committee substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of the bill will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine On the passage of House Bill 1388, the ayes are 156, the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. We've been going at it here a little bit. Let's take about a 15-minute break. House will be in recess for 15 minutes.